If you've recently relapsed and now you feel like you've ruined your recovery, then this episode is for you. You probably sat in a load of shame thinking you failed, but I promise you now that you haven't failed. I want to be completely honest with you. Since I went to the 12 step fellowship and since I started the 12 steps, I have not relapsed since the 2nd of the 1st, 2022. So I'm over 4 years clean, and I have not relapsed in that space and time due to the 12 steps program. That's my lived experience. I, however, know very close people in my recovery circle have relapsed time and time again. And the one thing that I always say to them is just keep coming back. You just need to get back on the fucking horse and start riding again, because you've not lost anything that you've learned in your recovery. So, for instance, you were like, say, a month or 6 months or even a fucking week, for fuck's sake. That stuff that you've learned in that time frame, the feelings that have come back, the fact that you pushed through a day or even an hour of not picking up, you've actually taught yourself something there. And those lessons have not been lost just because you've relapsed. The thing with relapse, from what I have seen and what I've heard, is the racing brain, is the addict. The disease of addiction is completely all over you, and it is so much more louder. And that's why it's so hard for people to come back after a relapse, because you think you're not wanted in the recovery rooms, you think you're not worth recovery, you think you're a failure, you think you're better off just using or just slowly killing yourself. But that's not the case at all. You are worth it. You are so loved, and people just want you to get sober and to get clean. I, for one, know somebody who has relapsed time and time again, and he's hurt a lot of people. But I don't know, there's just still so much love that I have for him, because I know deep down it's just his addiction. It's so powerful, addiction. People who aren't in recovery just don't understand. They don't understand how powerful it can be and how strong it can be in somebody's mind when it takes over. Even though I haven't personally relapsed in my time in being in the 12 step fellowship, before that I was relapsing all the time. I wanted to stop for so long, and I would get maybe a week or 2 weeks max, and I would relapse. I had no tools at that point, so I just didn't know how to overcome that obsession and that compulsive behavior, which is my addiction. Whereas because I've been going to the 12 step fellowship, and because I've put my recovery first in all aspects of my life, I feel like when I get to the edge where I feel like I want to pick up, I kind of program myself so much to know to ring somebody, to call somebody, to let somebody know that I'm feeling that way, that I'm having really bad using thoughts. And as soon as I share that with somebody, it kind of hardens it for me. And then I can look at the next step. Because when it's so overpowering and it's in your brain and those thoughts are so loud and all you want to do is just use, and it's your own voice telling you, and you're basically nearly picking up. My biggest advice that's worked for me is just picking up the phone to somebody else and not your dealer, because as soon as you get it out, you're grassing yourself up, really, and it helps to grass yourself up, because then you're getting it out, and then you've got somebody speaking back to you and giving you advice and saying, no, this is not right. And then slowly you can do the next step and being like, right, where are you? I need to get to a meeting, or get your book out and write some stuff down. And then eventually an hour will pass and you haven't picked up, and then your head becomes a little bit more clearer. But from my knowledge of people that are close to me that have relapsed, what they've told me is that, especially people who go to the rooms, because to be fair, my recovery circle are all from the rooms, and they really struggle coming back because their brain has basically told them that they don't like certain people, that the rooms aren't for them, recovery is not for them, and all of this stuff. And they've really convinced themselves. And that is what we call ego. It's just ego telling you you're better than the rest, when in fact, that is your addiction. Ego is the biggest driver for addiction. So then you start isolating yourself because you're telling yourself you're not those types of people. Or in another way, there's been examples where I've heard people are so shameful that they don't want to see people, and they feel like everyone's going to hate them and everyone's talking about them and all of that stuff. I know for one that that is not the case. Everyone loves you and everyone wants you to stay, to get well and to get clean and to get sober. So it's a case of just really trying your hardest not to listen to those thoughts. I think as well with the shame, that shame just isolates people. And then what isolation does is just obviously feeds the addiction, because it's only you, yourself, and I, you, yourself, like me, myself, and I. Do you know what I mean? And when it's me, myself, and I, there's no one telling me otherwise apart from my own thoughts that are telling me to pick up. So that's probably what could be happening to yourself. And that's the stuff that you really need to try and stay away from, is being isolated and being away from people that are in recovery. So the advice that I can tell you is just to pick up that phone to somebody in recovery, even if they're not in recovery, somebody that's really close to you, a brother or a sister, a best friend, and tell them what's happened, tell them where you're at. Then at least it's out of your own head and at least somebody else knows about it. Then it's a case of doing the next step, which is, for me, I would say find a meeting, get yourself to the nearest meeting and just sit there. If you don't want to share, don't share. Just be in that room, just be around people, like minded people. That also in those rooms, this is why I'm such an advocate for the 12 Step Fellowship, is because everybody in that room has been where you have been. Do you know what I mean? There's people that, for instance, I haven't relapsed, but I relapsed before I got into the rooms multiple times. I understand that crazy washing machine brain that you're going through. I understand the fact that your head is fucking so loud and trying to tell you that you're not worth it and you might as well just carry on. But there are other people in those rooms that have relapsed in the 12 step fellowship and then have come back, and then it's just getting back on that horse, just keep coming back and sharing where you're at, because you are worth it. You have not failed at all. You've just gone back out there, you've decided to gather a little bit more information, because that's what we say in the rooms, like people go back and trying to learn a little bit more, and what they learn is that they definitely can't use you successfully. And that's probably where you're at. You've realized again that you cannot use successfully. So it's a case of getting back to ringing somebody, sharing where you're at. If you can get to a meeting, get to a meeting, and just not listening to those thoughts. I want you to know as well, you're not actually back at day one. You're right. Even though your clean time will go back to day one, you're not actually back in day one mentally, because you've still got that clean time. So it's just a case of just restarting your clean time date, but just starting where you left off. Do you know what I mean? And then looking back at what went wrong. Did you stop doing things like stop going to meetings? Did you stop speaking to your recovery fellows? Did you start isolating a little bit more? Did you start picking up things like, I don't know, old habits or old things that you really like to do, going out a little bit too soon, being around alcohol and drugs a little bit too soon? Try and look back at what happened, and then you can work out where it started, and then that will help you throughout this next period of your recovery journey where to be a bit more vigilant. So just my biggest advice is obviously tell one person, because obviously secrecy just loses the power over it. Connection, get connected, whether it's in a recovery meeting or just other recovery fellows outside of meetings, just whether it's on TikTok or online or whatever, just let people know, because obviously connection is the opposite to addiction. And take accountability of your life. You are worth it. So continue on your path of recovery. You don't need a massive plan or anything like that. It's just for today. You will not pick up. And then tomorrow is a new day. So if you've relapsed, you haven't ruined everything. The fact that you care means recovery is still within you. So just see as today as you just coming back to recovery. I'm going to leave it there, but if you can please hit subscribe, comment below, tell me where you're at, and I'll comment back to you. If you can share the episode, that'd be amazing as well. So, and I will see you next week. You've got